Hi guys, this is Vo, the weekend gamer at We Heart Music Radio. So I have Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is the uh, game that was announced in 2005, I believe, or 15. um, so it's been a good 4 years in development and finally came out. I have to say, for the first release, it got a lot of things right, but it also I feel like it was also kind of rushed out, even though they had like 4 years to work on this. And we'll get to all that in a few minutes. I've only played about 20, 30 minutes of it, so this is going to be kind of like a first impression of the game for you. So first of all, if you don't know, this is Igarashi, first game since he departed from Konami. And basically, he wanted to do this kind of game, which is kind of like a Castlevania kind of game. And Koji Igarashi kind of went to Twitter, or not Twitter, but on the crowdsource and Kickstarter, and announced his intention to make this kind of game. And I think at the time it probably was the most funded project that Kickstarter ever had, which is well over $5 million, so $5.5 million. So that made enough money for him to put this game in development. And so yeah, 4 years later, I didn't back the game originally, but I did pre-order the game. It retails for $30, but if you pre-order, you get a like 10% off, which is kind of expensive for what this kind of game is, which is kind of like this old style 2D platformer that is in the style of Castlevania, where you're given a large map to explore, and some areas that you won't be able to get to unless you get special weapons. For example, this cannon one, you can't go on unless you get that fire to ignite the cannon to open up the additional doorway for you to go in. And if you're familiar with that mechanic, I think you'll find a lot of fun to be had with Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I have to say though, this game is very hard. I mean, it starts off very easy, but I think I'm just not used to the control, or maybe even different weapons that you can equip has different properties and different wait times. So each weapon has its pros and cons. So, like for example, the Claymore sword is does a lot of damage, but it's also very slow. So you have to take into consideration the speed that you can use the gun, and also where it will land and what range it has. And to be honest, I had a lot of problem trying to understanding how far I can reach, and how much damage I can do, and how I can avoid things, because I haven't normally don't really play this style of game, because this is kind of like a very old style of gameplay, which I like, but also at the same time, I'm not used to playing it in a modern game setting. And speaking of modern thing, God, it's 2019. Can't they just support ultra widescreen? And it just doesn't make any sense that games that's released, this year, doesn't understand the ability to expand your resolution to accommodate a 20 by 9 aspect ratio. They got most of the aspect ratio, which is either full screen or widescreen, but I guess they didn't even consider ultra wide, and I don't think it's that much harder to do on ultra wide. I mean, you're just basically giving us more resolution basically, and I can't understand why that's so hard for a lot of game makers. But anyway, that's just it's a very small gripe. But as you can see, it is just regular full screen or not, just widescreen, and it's awful because you see the black bars on the side, even though the overlay menu and the map are kind of like on taking advantage of the extra area. So anyway, that's the problem. One of the problem I had with this game is that it doesn't support ultra wide, and I guess it can kind of make sense because if you're gonna import this game into home consoles like the Xbox and PlayStation 4, that those consoles don't typically support ultra wide. I mean, or most television in American homes don't own ultra wide for home television. So I can kind of understand why a lot of game makers don't even bother with ultra wide, because it's a very niche like PC gaming user that wants the ultra wide, which in my case I do. Anyway, so the other problem I had with this game is you can't just save anywhere. You have to find a bench somewhere to save. If you played like Hollow Knight or other games that's kind of inspired by this Castlevania style, it's probably commonplace that you just have to find a bench somewhere to save your progress. It is annoying when you're going up to a boss and you don't realize that there's a save spot near that map or near the area. You might accidentally go into a boss's thing without realizing that you got to backtrack. If you die, you got to backtrack all the way from where you last save it. And these monsters all respawn and stuff. So the game in its current state, I'm not overly impressed. I mean, some aspect I am impressed. I think the art style, the artwork and the control, it's very polished and it looks great. Music wise, it's also great. There is a story and stuff, and there's like voice actors and plenty of it's very big budget a game, even though I know, like I was kind of complaining about the fact that it costs $30. It feels like it should be more like a budget title, like maybe a $20 game. But yeah, everything looks great. I mean, just the asset, everything looks amazing. I'm playing on ultra high setting, so even I think it scales down easily too. So if you're playing on a lower setting, I think it'll still look great because these kind of graphics aren't really. I think it scales both ways. So anyway, so that's some of the good. Unfortunately, it's not quite complete as I previously mentioned. I think the regular game is, but then I think there's a lot of stuff that they wanted to add in the game that just didn't make it. I want to say there is a male character that you can play as a playable, character, but I'm not even sure if you need to unlock it or if it's even available at the moment. I know that they plan to add in extra stuff that they didn't get to on time, and so some of them I want to say includes co-op mode and maybe even local multiplayer mode. So there's some stuff that's still being added, and I think they promise about 13 free DLC. If you check back with the game in about a year, it may actually be a very different game, or even just an easier game because, like I said, it's not easy, but maybe it's just I'm not very good at this game. Anyway, yeah, there's going to be 13 free DLC that's coming out within the year or 2 years. So check back with the game, and it could be a very different game, and then it'll probably maybe worth $30. But I believe by that time they'll probably reduce the price a little bit to get more players on board. But do I regret buying it early? No, not really. I want to support the game maker, and also I want to be one of the first people to play it, and that's what I'm doing. And yeah. Otherwise, it is what it is. If you like this type of game, check it out. But if you're kind of on the fence about it, I suggest maybe waiting a few years, or maybe when they get some of the bugs worked out. I know that just 2 days into the game being released, that there's already been 2 or 3 different patches already. I know there was a day one patch because of some bug. And my personal experience playing with it is that, yeah, I've noticed some bugs right away. Just graphical stuff like glitchy areas don't quite work well in an ultra wide setting. But that's just my case specifically. And maybe they can even. I think I'm setting this on normal mode, but I may actually have to dial it down to just easy mode or whatever. I don't even know if there's an easy mode, to be honest. I gotta actually check back the menu. But anyway, what else? Yeah. So once again, I'm very early in the game, so I really, I guess, just need to play it a little more to get maybe a better control or understanding of how the game really operates and function. But so far, I love it. So I think it's pretty good. Anyway, I like this is from on Steam, but you can get the game on GOG, which I actually do prefer playing on GOG, but because I share a Steam account with my brother, I actually bought the game for him, and so in some aspect, I'm actually kind of playing it, sharing the game with him. But normally, I actually a lot of games, if it's available on GOG, that's my preferred choice. What else? And it will. I don't know. I think it's coming out on the Nintendo Switch, which I think might be a better suited for this type of game. And that's coming out, or that came out already, and then also came. It's supposed to be available on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 as well. And oh yeah, I wanted to mention that part of the reason why it probably took 4 years to develop is because they got to make the game available for all of those platforms. You know, but anyway. But yeah, so this is the main boss. I'm having a very tough time. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong. So you got a couple potions that I can use, but basically I only have 3 that I can use, and I'm early in the game that they're kind of rare. So I guess I'm kind of using it sparingly until I can figure out what this boss is doing that I'm not understanding. But yeah, so basically the claymore does a lot of damage, but it does take a lot of a longer time to swing. And yeah, and I can't tell if the boss is gonna die soon or something. 'Cause they don't have a life meter that I can gauge against, so I don't know how much damage I'm doing or how far I'm in the fighting against this thing. And yep, let's change it to the whip or gun. All right. Well, anyway, so have a good day. If you haven't gotten the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, check it out. When you get to the first boss, let me know how you can defeat this thing. I'm gonna try to play and figure out to fight to defeat him, but But I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong.